When Jenny's grandfather was sick, he told her she could have his favorite clock when the time was right. Jenny didn't know why he was so keen on inheriting the clock, but she didn't look much into it. Then, when her grandfather died, the clock was suddenly gone. She was determined to get that clock back to her. Little did she know that this clock would change her entire life. Click the like button and subscribe for more. She asked her family members if anyone had seen the clock, but nobody saw anything. Jenny went to visit her brother-in-law and saw the clock in his living room. She yelled. He knew that that clock belonged to her now, so why would he take it? Granddad promised me that clock. At first, her brother-in-law didn't want to give the clock to her, which she found strange. She wondered why he was so hesitant to give the clock to her. It took a while, but the brother-in-law gave back her clock. Finally, the clock was back with her. She admired the look of it standing in her living room between her furniture. It bothered her that it was broken, so she called a clocksmith. He told her he had an opening in 2 weeks, but she didn't want to wait that long. When she mentioned the name of her grandfather, the clocksmith paused. It went quiet for a good 5 minutes. "I'll be there first thing in the morning," he said. Why did he suddenly have time tomorrow? The clocksmith came and looked at the clock. It didn't seem like it was the first time, though. He immediately went to work. 10 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, and he was still working. Well, it seemed more like searching. Later in the afternoon, the clocksmith came to the kitchen. "I'm sorry, Jenny, I can't fix the clock," he said. Well, Jenny thought, "I'll have to try it myself then." She opened the clock and looked inside. When she still couldn't find anything, she got a little frustrated. She slammed the door shut, and the whole clock was trembling. Suddenly, she saw a little white corner sticking out of the side. It must have slid down when she slammed the door. She grabbed the corner and pulled the paper out of the clock. Going against her gut feeling, she opened the letter. After reading the first 2 lines, she knew there was no way back. Therefore, she went to Grandpa's old house to check it out. Jenny followed the letter's directions and searched in the backyard of her grandfather's house. It took Jenny a while to find the spot Grandfather had mentioned in his letter, but then she finally found it and knew something must be encumbered there. She took a shovel from the garden house and began to dig. She dug, and it took her hours to dig a deep hole in the backyard of Grandpa's house. She heard a loud noise. It was as if she had hit a metal object or something. It was an old box, rather massive in shape. What had Grandpa hidden from her? She was so excited to find out. Jenny was trying to open the box, but it didn't work. After an hour of wriggling, Jenny decided to give up for now. Her last attempt was to break the box by throwing it to the ground, but unfortunately, it wasn't helpful. All she could do was go home and grab some tools that could open this mysterious box. She had to go to her house to get it. She was aware that her brother-in-law had previously visited his grandfather's home for a suspicious reason. She didn't want him to discover this box because she wouldn't have it anymore if he did. While Jenny driving, she couldn't change her mind. All that she could think of was that box. When she arrived home, she quickly entered the garage to find something to open the box with. She didn't know which tool would be best, so she decided to take each tool to Grandpa's house. She went to the car and placed the tools in the trunk. She got in and drove to Grandpa's house. When she arrived at the house, she already saw a lot of lights around the house. You can already guess what they were because they were blue and red, the police. They were standing in front of Grandpa's house, and her brother-in-law Joey was also standing there. Jenny didn't understand a thing about what they were doing here. Jenny exited the car and went over to Joey and the policeman. She wondered aloud as to what was going on. Numerous police officers surrounded the house and shut it off with lines and other devices. Then the police officer asked Jenny if she had dug up a box here a few hours ago. Jenny was shocked that the police officer asked her this question. How could he possibly know this? Jenny didn't know what to say. Should she say she did or not? Since the police officer's question was specifically related to the mysterious box Jenny found, Jenny decided to admit that she indeed found a box in the house's garden. Then the police officer looked her in the eye and asked her a question that she could predict. "What did you find in that box?" the officer asked. Jenny didn't know what was in that box because she wasn't able to open the box with her bare hands, and then she explained that she had gone back home to grab some tools to open the box. While Jenny was saying this, she saw that the police officer was looking at her with many disgust. After explaining the situation for some time, a few police officers came outside the house and went to the officer whom Jenny was talking with. They whispered something in his ear, and Jenny couldn't hear it. Then the police officer looked at Jenny and said, You have to come to the police station." Jenny was overwhelmed that she needed to come to the police station. What did she do wrong here? She was taken into an interrogation room as soon as they got to the police station. Not even a drink was given to her. No, the police officers started an aggressive questioning technique. Jenny was asked more questions by the police officers, but she was unable to respond with any more details. She explained that she had received the clock from her grandpa and that she was simply trying to unravel the letter, which had been written especially for Jenny. The police officers didn't believe her and placed her in a cell. Jenny felt overwhelmed and scared of this situation happening to her. When she thought back to her conversation with her grandfather, she realized that she had kept that information from the police officers. She rang the cell bell and requested the 2 police officers to question her. The police officers went to her cell and asked her what she wanted. "I know more," Jenny said. The police officers immediately opened her cell and took her into the interrogation room. Jenny didn't hesitate, and she told everything about what she could remember from the conversation with Grandpa when Grandpa was drunk. Then the police officers looked at each and nodded at each other. "What does this mean?" The police officers said to Jenny that they were able to open the box and take out all of the stuff Grandpa had been hiding there. Jenny never knew much about Grandpa because he was not the kind of person who openly spoke about everything. They told her if she knew this man called Johnny. Jenny has never heard of this guy before in her entire life. She was thinking and thinking, but all of a sudden she remembered. He was always there on Grandpa's birthday when Jenny was young. He seemed like a normal man, so what was wrong with this man? It turned out that Jenny's grandpa and this Johnny had done a diamond heist 30 years ago. It was quite a violent one, and they could never find the suspects, but they always knew that Jenny's grandpa had something to do with this. Therefore, they thought that Jenny maybe knew about this, and she wanted to keep the diamonds for herself. Since Jenny didn't want to keep the diamonds and she even never knew about these diamonds, she was found not guilty, and the police officers released her from the police station. She could finally go home. Once she got home, she was thinking of Grandpa. How the hell could she not know this about him? It was quite a big thing. But yeah, that's life. Secrets are there to be kept.